Let's go back to Discord and hear from some more folks. davidpakman.com/Discord. Let's go to Allie from Boston next. Allie, welcome to the program. What's on your mind today?
David, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hi, it's great to hear you. I am a new listener. I found you from TikTok, actually.
I love it. It's incredible. You know, I'm getting recognized from TikTok as much as from YouTube, which is insane.
Oh yeah, I think I started seeing your TikToks maybe a couple months ago and just started listening more and more, seeing you pop up on my For You page, and then actually started listening to the podcast, I'd say maybe a couple weeks back.
I appreciate that.
And been listening to you pretty regularly from there on out. But I just want to ask you, and I apologize if you maybe already talked about this before. Like I said, I'm kind of new, so trying to catch up on everything. You have
Sure.
a ton of content, which I appreciate. But so I moved to Boston about a year ago. I'm originally from Georgia, born and raised.
Okay.
My parents are pretty much Trumpies. I would say just short of maybe the QAnon lizard overlords.
Oh, wow.
As far as how far right they are.
Yeah.
So I grew up, you know, listening to Rush Limbaugh every day. Like we had the merch. It was, you know, I was taught, you know, liberalism is evil. You know, conservatism is, you know, the only way, this, that, and the other. And, you know, just through that growing up, obviously voted for Trump the first time around. I was 18 when the 2016 election happened.
Wow.
And, you know, through my education, actually, you know, went to Georgia Southern, got a degree, got my master's from there, did a lot of research just on leadership through my master's program, and just kind of came to my own conclusion that this is not good. Like, I just can't support this. You know, I'm a young woman. I've got to support women's rights. I am an advocate for LGBT people. I just, you know, just realizing everything that the far right has been doing, it's like, I just can't continue to support this. And so
you sort of like deprogrammed yourself in a sense.
Yes, essentially. Yeah. And I did it kind of in secret. Like it was honestly like I was in the closet. Like it's the best way I can describe it. And essentially I was outed to my parents. And my mom called me crying, finding out that I voted for Joe Biden in the last election.
Okay, wait. So now talk to me about the logistics of that. You were outed to your parents. Someone called your parents and said, "Hey, I just found out Allie now is not on the right anymore," or what? How did that happen?
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, we just have a close, you know, knit group. My parents, you know, our family friends. You know, I've got a couple of them that are, you know, liberal. And so I think just through talking through them, I don't know exactly who ended up telling them, hey, you know, sorry, hate to break it to you. But anyways, somehow they found out. And, you know, that caused a couple years where it really just was very difficult to even have a conversation with my parents because they were trying to convert me back, you know, and it just was like every conversation ended in crying or some sort of just like blow up. My dad was thrown out of the room. Like we couldn't communicate to each other for, like I said, it was a couple years before it got to where, you know, we could be around each other without it turning into some sort of political argument.
Now, I know your view might be biased on this, but do you feel that the difficulty communicating was it 50-50 or was it more because of them or because of you?
I think it was, you know, it's hard to have a conversation when you can't agree on what a fact is and what is a source of truth.
Yes.
And so I would come in with, you know, especially when this was all around the vaccines and COVID, I was living with them during the time. So that made it tough. But, you know, it was like we would try to have a conversation and I would pull data and research and they would say, well, that's just, you know, biased.
Yeah.
And so it would just then start spiraling. And, you know, my dad would just say something like CRT is communism. And, you know, it would hit the fan.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know if I can curse. But anyways.
Oh, boy. Producer Pat, make a note. We got to bleep that. All right, good. No, so I understand the context now. So I interrupted you, but this is all building to a question. So I think I'm ready for the question now.
Yes. So my question is, you know, after, what are we on, the second, third, fourth indictment at this point, I just realized that my parents, they're never going to let it go. They're never going to stop supporting Trump. It's just kind of a lost cause.
Yep.
So I've personally made the decision that I put the boundary up, like, we're just not talking politics anymore in our family. And that's just what's worked for us as of late. So my question is, I want to know, you know, my boyfriend and I, we just kind of have agreed that it's a lost cause. You know, we're just hoping that at some point when the boomers make their exit if they ever do. And millennials, Gen Z, we can kind of take over. Hopefully we can get somewhere to where we're making progress in this country. But I'm really curious to know your opinion on like, what's next? Like after Trump is gone, is it DeSantis? Is it, what's on the horizon, once the boomers are out of power, if they ever give it up? I swear, like, it wouldn't surprise me if they somehow figure out how to live forever. But what do you see on the horizon? And, just is there hope, I guess, is what I'm really asking.
It's really unclear. There's a couple different paths. One possibility is that after Trump, whatever that means, there is a return to sort of like McCain-Romney type Republicanism. The reason I'm hesitant to assume that is because, listen, John McCain already passed away. Mitt Romney is in his mid-70s. I don't know that the next generation of Republican leaders is going back to the group that's now 75 or 80. So it's like, I don't know that that's going to happen. So then you get into, okay, well, when you look at the younger people, you've got people like Matt Gaetz and those types. They're completely out of their minds. You've got people like Vivek Ramaswamy, who certainly is dramatically more polished, but seems, from my interview with him earlier this week, seems to believe about 80% of the crazy stuff. Also, it's just packaged in a more kind of sane way. And then you have the Republicans who are sort of like, let's say 45 to 60 right now, who I think are less insane than MAGA, but have been having a difficulty really denouncing MAGA because they see it as necessary in order to maintain their seats. Maybe it'll be the less crazy 45 to 60-year-old Republicans who kind of take the helm of the Republican Party if and when we get beyond MAGA. But I don't know the answer. It's very speculative, and it's going to some degree, we first need to know whether Trump wins again in 24. Only once we know that can we start to think about what comes next for this party.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. It's just, personally, I'm the oldest Gen Z, if that's even a thing. And I feel like from all of my friends and just, the discourse I hear from my generation, we're fairly left leaning. And I don't know if that's just me being in my own echo chamber, if that's...
No, Gen Z is left leaning. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm hopeful that we can get to a point where it's like, the social issues of you can, marry whoever you want to marry. You can do whatever's best for you and your body that your doctor says. Like that's what, if we could just get rid of that, I feel like we could actually get to the meat of what's going on in this country. And, my boyfriend and I, we both make six figures and we can't afford a home. Like, it's just like, this is insane. Yeah. And it's just so frustrating seeing my parents and, that generation just having these culture wars when it's like, what are we doing? Who is this benefiting? And it's just, getting frustrating. And we just keep hoping, well, once the boomers are gone, which is terrible to say because those are my parents, but it's like, that's the reality of the situation we're in. Like,
well, listen,
we're just
to answer the question,
out.
It benefits the Republicans who want to stay in power. That's who benefits from the culture war stuff and all of this. It doesn't benefit any of the people. And it seems like you're sort of pointing that out. Allie, listen, thank you for explaining it all. It sounds complicated, but very well said.
Yeah. Thank you, David. I appreciate it.
All right. Allie from Boston, great to hear from you.